Okay, I'm gonna get as close as I dare to. I think you can see it enough in the background. But the swarm from the Swan Trap near the fence has officially arrived. This was the trap that Nick was showing yesterday. That there was some activity around the hive. I'm hoping you can hear it too.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Nick here. Just doing a little pre-prep for the upcoming honeybee season. Setting up some swarm traps. What I'm going to be doing is taking some of this propolis that's in this jar and put it inside the hives, well, inside the swarm traps. And this helps make the swarm traps smell like a dead out hive. And it's just more appealing to the bees for when they're out searching for a new home. All it is propolis that I've taken off my old frames and stuffed them in here, and then put some rubbing alcohol in here, and you just shake it up. What happens is when you take and apply this with a brush on the inside of your hive, the alcohol will evaporate, and all you got left is your propolis on your seams. So yeah, it works awesome, and it is proven because I have caught swarms before using this method. So here we go. This is an old jar. This is what it'll look like after quite a bit of use. It'll get nasty, so I'm just swapping it out for a new jar and something that will be easier to manage. Plus, this jar is a little bit bigger. This is an actual pint. This one's a half pint, so you can fit more in this one. Right here is a swarm trap that I make. What I'll do is I don't have a measuring tape on me right now, but I will get the measurements and put them in the description below so you guys can see what the size of this is. I have a front entrance right here, and I believe that that's actually 3/4 inch holes on either side, and I also have 2 holes on either side here with, let's bring you guys back. Try this again. Sorry, my little locking mechanism on my tripod wasn't tight enough. So, what I was saying, I got 3/4 inch holes here with eighth inch mesh on the inside, so robber bees or other wasps or whatever can't get inside. Also, this allows more of the scent to get out. Just a solid bottom, board on the back with a hole in it for hanging it off the tree. What else? Just a regular lid on the inside. Of course, I have animals, so I got plenty of feed bags. What I do is I use this feed bag inside of the hive. That way, if they build up propolis, the frames will stick to this and not my lid. So I pull my lid off. My frames are not going to be stuck to my lid, and this just peels right off. So that works fantastic. And so what I'm going to do, and I'm sorry for you guys seeing my back as I work because I don't have any room on the other side of my bench here. I might set up a table there at some point to show you guys some other videos, but for educational purposes, if any of you don't know what propolis is a type of glue that the bees make to seal up cracks, seal up anything that they don't want air or whatever to get through, and it's very sticky. If you can see on top of the frame here, that's propolis right there. That dark looking brown stuff right there, that's propolis. That's not honeycomb. I mean, that's not wax. They'll take and put a lot of propolis underneath the frames here, in between the frames on the edges. Of course, on the top, not typically on the bottom unless it's frames on top of each other and they're trying to make like a ladder. Usually they do ladder comb. Sometimes you'll see propolis on it. This is last year's comb. Kind of, you can see it's yellow. It's drawn out a little bit. There was no brood in there. When you do have brood, it'll be kind of like the top here. It's just because the top's a little bit older. Actually, I think I have a frame here that's got some brood on it, brood comb on it. And what I mean by brood comb is when the bees use the comb to raise other bees, they put little cocoon in there, and then it turns the wax brown, if you will. And if you take and melt your comb, you'll notice that you get a lot of junk in your wax after you melt it, and it's like stuck to the bottom of your wax, and that is like all the cocoons stuck to the bottom and whatever else junk that they have in there. So let's bring you guys over to here. It's dark out right now. It's I think it's right around 6-ish. So I'll bring you guys in. You can take a look. Whoops. Sorry about that. Let's get this tripod situated. There we go. There. Sorry for that. There we go. Now, you can see in here. There we go. That's a good shot. So I literally have not done anything to this from last year, as you can see, because I still got my bag in there. If I pull my bag out, you'll probably see that I have a Q-tip in there. Q-tip in there. So one other thing I wanted to let you guys know is when you're taking baiting your swarm traps, you can either use a bag with a Q-tip in it, or you can just stuff a Q-tip in there. But what you want to do is you want to take and get yourself some lemongrass oil. You can get some Sworm Commander. You can buy that offline. This one smells a little bit like lemongrass still, but get yourself natural lemongrass oil, essential oil. You don't want to use any of that cheap stuff. Now what I mean by cheap, you don't want to go to Walmart and buy lemongrass oil that's like in the perfume section. You don't want that. You want pure lemongrass oil. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that lemongrass oil, and usually when you buy those oils, it comes in a glass container. If it doesn't have glass, then you don't want it, because essential oil is so potent that it will eat away plastic. So what you want is to get that lemongrass. You want to do a couple drops on either side of this Q-tip. You're going to throw it in a bag, and you're going to zip it, not all the way, just a little bit, so some scent can come out, and you can make a couple little slits in here with a knife. Take it, you're going to pull a frame out, preferably in the way back. You're going to take this last frame out, drop it in there, and then button it back up. Throw this cover on, because you don't want to forget this, because if they take and draw a comb and they attach it to that lid, you're going to be regretting it. So you don't want to do that. Stick that on there. Not only does it prevent them from drawing comb and sticking it to your lid, it also prevents any moisture from getting inside, which that will kill your bees. throw your lid on. I gotta paint this lid. I haven't painted it yet. Last year I didn't paint any of it. I just took and burnt everything around it, and it worked. But I'm gonna paint this. You're gonna take and find a branch on a tree. You want to hang this thing about 5 feet to 6 feet high if you can. You're gonna cut that branch, take the branch to the hole. You might need a bigger hole. What I do is I'll take and put a screw here into the tree. Good 3-inch, 4-inch screw will work. And then you're gonna take a ratchet strap and you're gonna put a ratchet strap around this, and that's gonna secure it enough that it's not gonna go anywhere. But yeah, I would use a ratchet strap, and plus you don't want this thing shaking around because the bees aren't gonna like that either. So secure it good, 6 feet high. Come back every week during that time of pollination, when you know that the trees are budding. Usually up here on Maine, it's right around May into June. And what I also do is I'll take that same Q-tip before I throw it inside, and I'll go and draw a circle around this hole. And what that does is when the bees are going by, they'll get an initial whiff of that lemongrass. And what lemongrass does is it imitates the smell of a queen. I never smelt the queen before, but scientists say that the scent, the pheromones of a queen has the same scent of lemongrass oil. So, and it works. I swear it works. So yeah, you're gonna take and do that. Throw your Q-tip in the inside. Once a week, you're gonna come back, check your swarm trap. If there's nothing in it, you're gonna take and obviously get another Q-tip. And what I do is, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but they have those grabbers that you can take and get from the automotive stores. And what it is just a little wire mechanism that you get a push button on the back, and it's got fingers on the outside that when you push the button, the fingers open up. You can put your Q-tip in there. You're going to take and put it through the hole and shove that Q-tip as far back as you can and drop it off. And you're going to do that once a week until you see that you have a swarm. And yeah. So what I do is I take a painter's brush and I just get the cheapest one I could find, because you're not doing anything special except for painting propolis on the seams. I take and I dip this in my propolis container, and what I do is I take and put it on all the seams, because that's what the bees do. They'll put it all over the seams, and I put it on the frame rests, and then I put it on the top side of the lid. And then what I also like to do is on the door entrance is put some of the propolis, because I don't know if any of you have smelt propolis, but it is a pretty strong smell, and it actually smells really good, to be honest with you. And there's some medical benefits for using propolis too. I mean, it's a good immune booster if you use propolis in the tincture. Of course, I've never done anything like that. I'm not a doctor, so don't go by my word, but I have heard that people have used it for medical purposes. If any of you know of those, if anybody else has any comments about propolis, drop it in the comments. So another thing that I'm going to do is take some beeswax, and I'm going to take and melt the beeswax and put on the inside of the hive, rub it all over the place to get this thing smelling like it just had a hive in it last year. And that way it's more apt to attract the bees. So after I do this, I'll take and set it off to the side, and once swarm season comes along, which is usually when everything starts to bloom and you get a lot of pollen coming in, then the hives are building up their brood, and at that point they get so big there's no room for them, so they got to go somewhere. So they'll take and swarm, and they'll go to the nearest hole in the tree, or if the cavity's big enough that they feel that they can fit in there, then that's where they're going to go. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. I don't know how many other people that do this, but this is what I do and it works. And if you guys stick with me, hopefully we'll catch some swarms this year and you'll see that happening. So, that being said, let's get to it. I'm going to use some of this old stuff in here because I don't like to let this go to waste if I can't help it. It's like gold. For all you who are beekeepers, you know what I mean. Propolis and wax. So I literally, if you guys see in here, you see how that's black? I got black spots in there. You know why? Take a guess. Yep. I burnt the inside of my hive. And I did it on purpose. 1, to get rid of the smell. And 2, a lot of people don't realize this, but a lot of swarms, bees are attracted to burnt out trees. They're attracted to when the lightning strikes a tree and it burns out a cavity in a tree. The bees like that. I don't know why, they do. So that's what I do. I imitate that. I take in rub beeswax in there and I put propolis on there. Who else knows of that trick about burning inside of boxes? Not only do people burn inside of boxes because, yeah, they might have some diseases in there and they gotta burn them, but so let's get the corners. I just do up and down a few times. And the reason why I'm kind of doing it so early, I think I usually do it like the week before I put them out, but I think it might be a good idea to take and do it way ahead of time. That way, that scent permeates that inside that box for that much longer. At least that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I could be wrong. Makes sense though. And I got a whole bunch of old comb that's in the bottom of this. I'm just gonna leave it. Some people will say, "Oh, that's junky looking." I'd take and clean that thing right out. Well, honestly, bees don't really care. If they know that a hive was in there, they're gonna think that this place is a mansion. Awesome. I'm gonna paint the top here. I'm gonna paint these screens. Just because it just gives that much more scent. I wish you guys could smell this because this smells amazing. It almost, if I can compare it to something, it smells like a perfume. It literally does. It smells like a perfume. Let me take that back. It smells like cologne. Perfume. And I'm gonna, like I said, doing at the bottom, paint the bottom there with this stuff there at the entrance. Oh, I don't know if you saw that in the video, but the entrance, I have 1/2-inch screen mesh on the inside, and what that does is it prevents any birds from getting in there, because I don't know how many of you have put holes in your hive, in your swarm traps, and not putting any mesh in there, and there end up being birds nest in because a bird will fit in there. So That's why that's in there. And then I just take what I like to do. This will hold 4 frames. So what I like to do is I like to have 3 drawn out combs and 1 undrawn comb. I say undrawn comb, but that's not what I mean. Undrawn frame. And let me go grab one. Okay, so what I mean by an undrawn frame that I make. Here's 2 samples. One is like this. Just a regular frame, nothing in it. And what I do is I run a string. Now, I can't take credit for this because I'm not the one that came up with this, but it does work. And I don't know if you guys have seen Steve's Outdoors. I think I'm saying that right. Steve Outdoors. He's a beekeeper down in Florida, and it's the same kind of method that I had been using. It's pretty simple. I mean, it's pretty basic for people who don't have a whole lot of money and want to get into beekeeping, but can't spend money on putting foundations in. So yeah, this is what we do. We grab some string, and all this is like jute twine, and you put it through you drill a hole in the top. You drill a hole right there. It's like an 1/8 inch hole. You draw your line through. You take and staple it right there. Draw your line through. Staple on this. Make sure it's taut. Staple it, and then you take a brush after you melted some beeswax. Now, if you don't have beeswax, somebody around has natural beeswax. You can get it offline. You can go to a natural food store, and usually they'll have a little brick of beeswax, so you can take and melt that down. Take a little brush and brush it on this string. Just brush it along, and what that does is that takes and creates a base for the bees to build off from. They'll know that's beeswax, and we can draw down from that. It just gives them that little boost, so that way they don't just go crazy comb on you inside your hive, which is not fun. So that's one method. The other method is let's bring you guys back out here. So the other method, granted this takes a little bit more time. If you got some beekeepers, some friends that beekeep, and they have some extra plastic foundation that they're just going to throw out because sometimes plastic foundation people use it and they don't like it and they have bad experience. So if you look around, you don't have to use actually plastic foundation. You could use a 1/4 inch Luan that's about 1/2 inch high or 3/4 inches high, and stick it. Actually, let's show you on this one, because this one actually doesn't have it. On a frame, you have 2 different styles. You have a top frame piece that it's actually solid with a groove down the center. Then you have the second style, which has a groove down the center, but it also has a piece on the side that you can break off, and you can stick your wax in and then wedge your wax. You nail it. So what you do is, if you have the piece that has the piece that breaks off, you can take a piece of 1/4 inch Luan and stick it from here to here, 3/4 inches high or 1/2 inch high, and then take that little wedge cleat and staple that down, nail it, whichever way you want to do it. It doesn't matter. Put some beeswax on with a painter brush, and then bam, you got a starter strip for bees to draw off from. And that's kind of what I did with this, except for with this, it already has the starts of a cell on it because it's plastic foundation. And this is what I mean. You can see the cells, and what you do is you take and paint you brush on your beeswax, and then what this here is just fishing string. Go to Walmart, grab a roll of fishing string, and put it on there. Usually I use a heavy test. And eventually what will happen is the bees will take and build over that, and this will provide strength. So when you're flipping your frames, checking your bees, your comb's not just gonna fall out. This is gonna hold it. You will find though that some bees will actually chew this, and you'll have some strings broken off. But that's when you use your better judgment and you put your hands on the back side when you're looking at it. And when I look at it, I usually have my hands like this in the back, and then my thumbs on the front. So if I'm looking at it this way, flipping it, my thumbs are on the front, and you can see how my thumbs are, and they hold the wax, the honeycomb. On this, you can actually see some of the comb already being drawn on there. Before I put this in the hive again, what I'll do is I'll throw a fresh coat of wax on there, and yeah, little note, you don't want to take and have these things absolutely nasty with comb all over them, because it's hard to manage. But you don't want to scrape these things squeaky clean either, because honestly, the older the comb, the more it smells like beeswax, the better the bees like it. And it's just the way it is. So yeah, this is what I mean. Oh, and then on this frame here, you can kind of see the propolis buildup right there. I haven't cleaned that off, and I probably won't. It's not that bad. I'm not any bee expert, so don't take my words to heart. It's just my own experience. Everybody else has a different experience with beekeeping. So, let's see what else. Let me go grab a comb that I'll show you. So I want to show you guys this frame here. This is a frame that I used the top, an old top bar, and rebuilt the bottom and the sides. And I just use it using basic tools. Yeah, I use my table saw, and did I use anything else? Maybe a scroll saw. That's about it. This does have a different pattern, string pattern, from this frame here that has the string going across from side to side. This one here I use as an X pattern, and you'll see that. So we're talking about brood comb. That there is brood. That's where they had their brood. That's where you're going to find that they had their cocoons. I say cocoon, I don't know what you really want to call it, but it's, in a nutshell, a cocoon. Same on the other side. They typically like to have their brood right in the middle. Sometimes they'll take and pack this frame right full of brood from side to side. But generally speaking, in a hive, their brood is in the middle of the hive. And what they'll also do is, you won't typically see brood all the way up to here, up in the top, because what they'll do is they'll take and put the brood in the middle, and then on the outside edges they'll take pollen, and then they'll take and put some honey in around, and they call this a honey band going around, and you'll see that. But yeah, so homemade sides, bottom, I put my string in. It really does not have to be hard, guys. Seriously. I got into beekeeping thinking that, man, this is going to be expensive, and I'm going to give it a shot and see if I like it. And honestly, once you start beekeeping, it's kind of like an addiction, to be honest with you. It's just fun, and people that you meet are awesome too. They're willing to share their input, and it's a big hobby. So, but yeah, so this string here, I just doing an X pattern. I start up here, I come down the side, go up, and then come back down, and then staple it. It's really simple. It's as simple as you want to make it. I've seen people who don't even put sides on here. They just put a starter strip on the top, and they're either staggering full frame starter strip, a full frame, a starter strip, and doing it that way, building up their hives that way, and they'll just draw a natural comb. With this, of course, you're not going to want to really eat this stuff, but if you did this is a deep, of course. Let me grab a medium. So this is a raggedy old medium that I need to clean up, and I mean, it's raggedy. They ended up actually putting brood up here, but so what you do is same thing, put a starter strip in, put your line in there if you want, and let the bees draw it out. And if you have a queen excluder on there, they're not going to take in, the queen's not going to go up and lay brood. So all they're going to put up there is they're going to pack that full of honey, and you're going to have nice yellow comb with packed honey in there. And what you can do is you can take and then cut out squares, and you can have honeycomb, honey-filled honeycomb, which is a delicacy. I got some in the house, and every morning I'll take in on my toast. I'll take and spread it on my toast and comb and all. It's all edible, and it's awesome. This is just another medium with nothing in it. And oh, actually, this one has that cleat that I was talking about. So if you can see here, here's the two pieces. This one, you can see it doesn't go all the way up to the edge because this is the cleat. This actually, when you buy these, this piece is actually attached just by a thin little layer of wood. So after you break off this piece here, you put your strip in there, and then you take and pinch it with this cleat, and then you staple it. Usually it's like 3 staples. Or if you want to use nails, you use little tiny nails, like little brad nails, and you put that in there. And it's that simple. And then also what you'll do is, if you have foundation in here, then what you'll do is you'll see holes. There's a hole there, there's a hole there. With the deeps, there's multiple holes. There's like 4 holes versus the 2 holes here. So what a lot of people do is, if you're a guy, you go into your wife's hair stuff. I don't know what you call it. You grab her hair clips and you put her hair clips in there, but you don't tell her, and that'll hold the foundation in there. Or you can go and buy the fancy clips that you get for beekeeping, and you put those in there too, and whatever works. But honestly, I don't like to spend a whole lot of money if I don't have to. Actually, this one here, don't tell my wife, has one of those old hair clips in there. Another one right there, and they just build around it. It doesn't bother them a bit, and it works. Why make things complicated? Why spend more money on stuff that you don't need to? And at that point, it no longer becomes a hobby, it becomes an expense. I like to keep it simple and as inexpensive as possible. I got off on a little rabbit trail there. So what I was saying is I'll stagger them. I'll do 3 full frame combs and then 1 starter. And what I'll do is I don't want to take and put that starter right in the middle of this. And the reason for that is because when they go in here and they look around, I want them to see that they have 3. They're not going to register 3, but they're going to see that they have a good amount of already drawn out comb that they can start laying, that the queen can start laying in. And that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for a home that they have to take and starter from fresh. I'm not saying that they won't do that. I'm just saying that if they find a suitable place that already has drawn out comb, they'll be more attracted to that than a cavity that has nothing in it. So we got 1, 2. Now let's just say that one's a full frame. I'll put that one in too. And then I'll put this last one here in as well. It's in the back. I don't know what's going on. Oh, that's why. There we go. So we got 3 frames here. Empty one in the back. And then they'll go in here. They'll see that there's plenty of room to take in, start bringing in pollen, bringing in nectar, which they'll turn into honey, and the queen can automatically start laying, and you're that much further ahead. If you don't have if you don't have any comb, I'm sure that there is comb out there that you can buy locally. You can check your local beekeeping supply stores around if you have any. If not, then you can go online. You can buy a frame, a drawn out frame. I'm not sure what they call them. Maybe somebody can leave it in the comments. But it's a already drawn out comb, full frame that you can buy. And it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. And especially if you want to take and boost your population, you can buy a couple of those. I think the last time I've seen the price on one of those is like, for a deep, it's like $12 per frame, which is worth it if you need the space, you need the bees to start to bring in food, for the queen to start laying, so that way your population goes up. They don't have to take and spend that time building comb. It's already, bam, there. They're ready to go. So I hope this video was informational. There'll be more videos to come in beekeeping. Of course, this is going to be part of our beekeeping side on our channel. As many of you know, that we're going to be doing other things. We got our goats. We have gardening coming up, which stick tuned for the gardening, because that's going to be pretty cool. Our neighbors are going to let us use some of their field to take and garden, and they're probably going to use their horses to help plow, and it's going to be awesome. So stick tuned for that. So yeah, like, subscribe, and share, and thanks for stopping by the Sunrise Homestead.